Welcome back to the Warbird Mistress. Today is Monday the 23rd of February 1942, and this is a walk through the war. We begin today on the coast of California in the zone of the interior, where the Japanese submarine I-17 fires 13 rounds of 140mm shells from a position 2,500 yards off the coast of the oil refinery at Elwood, California, just north of Santa Barbara. Pursuit and bomber aircraft sent to the area are unable to locate, let alone destroy the attacker, as the submarine had withdrawn westwards and not towards Los Angeles as had been believed. Moving across the globe to the European theater of operations, the headquarters of 8 Bomber Command arrives at Dawes Hill in Swordsonsbury, just north of London, with Major General Ira Eaker assuming command. And continuing our trek across the globe, in the Southwest Pacific area, American B-17s of the 5th Air Force fly the first mission against the Japanese captured base at Rabaul on New Britain Island in the Australian Mandate of the Territory of New Guinea. Operating out of Townsville, Queensland, the bombers are set back by mechanical trouble and poor weather, and eventually only a single B-17 is able to follow through with the attack. Meanwhile, Major General Brereton, commander 5th Air Force, disbands his headquarters unit and leaves for India, as the Dutch East Indies campaign continues to falter. Until the 3rd of September, the units which had been under the 5th Air Force's command fall first under Abdacom, then under Allied Air Force's Southwest Pacific Command. Heavy bomber units begin to evacuate Java the very next morning. And that brings us to Tuesday, the 24th of February, 1942, and back to the California coast. In the zone of the interior under the 4th Air Force, in the wake of the I-17 strike at the Elwood Oil Refinery, the Office of Naval Intelligence announces to coastal defense units that Japanese attacks on the coast may be expected within the overnight hours. Soon, reports of unidentified aircraft approaching Los Angeles from the ocean start pouring in from observers, coastal artillery, anti-aircraft units, and overnight plant workers. Flares, spotlights, and flak illumine the sky in the infamous Battle of Los Angeles, as 1,400 rounds of 3-inch anti-aircraft ammunition make their way towards the phantom targets. Later inquiries by the War Department will conclude that the battle had been touched off by 1 to 5 unidentified aircraft, while the Navy maintains their conclusion that the battle was utter hogwash, caused by nothing more than war nerves. Captain William Wild Bill Kelso could not be reached for comment. And next we have Wednesday, the 25th of February, 1942, where we remain in the American theater of operations in the zone of the interior. The headquarters of the Army Air Force, Air War Plans Division, recommends against Operation Gymnast, potentially leaving the 8th Air Force uncommitted to any operation. Across the Atlantic in the European theater of operations, the U.S. Army Forces in the British Isles, Major General James E. Cheney commanding, instructs Brigadier General Ira Eaker and the staff of the 8 Bomber Command to proceed to Headquarters RAF Bomber Command for a study of bombing operations, and to reconnoiter certain airfields and submit plans for the reception and assignment of Army Air Forces units. Across the Empire to Australia, arriving at Brisbane today are the headquarters of the 3rd Bombardment Group Light and the 8th, 13th, 89th, and 90th Bombardment Squadrons Light with their A-20s. They will commence operations in April. The headquarters of the 22nd Bombardment Group Medium and the 2nd, 19th, and 33rd Bombardment Squadrons Medium, as well as the 18th Reconnaissance Squadron Medium with their B-26s, who will commence their operations also in April. The headquarters of the 38th Bombardment Group Medium and the 15th Reconnaissance Squadron Medium, 69th, 70th, and 71st Bombardment Squadrons Medium with B-26s. Their first mission is in June, and the air echelon of the 69th and 70th are still in the United States until May and June. And finally, the 39th Pursuit Squadron Interceptor and 35th Pursuit Squadron Interceptor, with their Bell P-39 Airacobras. They commence operations on 2nd June. And that brings us to the 26th of February, Thursday. In the American Theater of Operations, the 2nd Reconnaissance Squadron Heavy, 30th Bombardment Group Heavy, and 46th Bombardment Squadron Medium of the 41st Bombardment Group Medium transfer from Muroc Army Airfield to Hammerfield, Fresno, with their LB-30 Liberators and B-18 Bolos, respectively, as they continue to fly anti-submarine patrols. On Friday, the 27th of February 1942, the 5th Air Force sees in Melbourne, far from the flames of battle, the 13th Reconnaissance Squadron Heavy of the 43rd Bombardment Group Heavy arrived from the U.S. with B-17s. They commenced operations in October. The quiet of Victoria is far from the main events in the war today, the Battle of the Java Sea. With Darwin eliminated as a logistical, naval, and aerial threat to the Japanese offensive, a convoy of Japanese ships totaling approximately 80 vessels drives through the Makassar Strait. Included in that number is the escort task force led by Takeo Takaki's cruisers Nachi and Haguro, and the light cruisers Naka and Jinsu, accompanied by Soji Nishimura's 14 destroyers. Facing them are cruisers HMS Exeter and USS Houston, light cruisers Her Nederlandse Majestatisschip de Ruyter, a Java, and HMAS Perth, as well as 9 Dutch, British, Australian, and American destroyers. The Allied vessels, led by Schuppanach Dorman's signal of Ik val aan, volg me, I'm attacking, follow me, sight the Japanese at 1600 hours and are quickly outgunned and out-torpedoed by the still novice Japanese, who have also managed to jam Allied communications. Every available aircraft comes to his aid, B-17s, A-24s, P-40s, but to no avail, as they inflict nearly no damage on the invaders. Following an Allied retreat and with only 4 cruisers under his command, the battle would begin again with long-range exchanges of fire at 2300 hours, but ends with a long-range torpedo attack, crippling and sinking HNLMS Java and De Ruyter, with Dorman aboard the latter as she goes down. The Japanese suffer only one ship, the Asagumo, damaged to the point of being hors de combat. The assault on Java is delayed by but a single day. On the other side of Java, the 5th Air Force's ground echelon units are evacuated by sea just as P-40 Warhawks start to arrive in numbers. The SS Sea Witch arrives with 27 P-40s at Cilacap, Java, the only southern-facing port, but these are destroyed to prevent capture before they are ever uncrated. Off the coast of Cilacap, the first American aircraft carrier, the USS Langley, now a seaplane tender, is sunk after having left Australia bound for India on the 23rd. 32 P-40s go down with her. The pilots aboard are rescued by Langley's escorts, only to go down with these ships when they are sunk by the Japanese. In the end, only 2 pilots survive to be returned to Perth. The Dutch East Indies have lost what hope they had in their navy for their salvation, as the Japanese are now free to take Java and pose an open threat to the Australian coast. And that brings us finally to Saturday the 28th of February 1942. In the American Theater of Operations, Zone of the Interior, 1st Air Force, the 92nd Reconnaissance Squadron Medium of the 45th Bombardment Group Medium begins flying ASW patrols from Delafield, Bangor, Maine, with A-29s, protecting Lend-Lease shipments and convoys in the Grand Banks with their Hudsons. And that was Monday the 23rd through Saturday the 28th of February 1942. Once again, thank you for your patience as I play catch-up a little bit. We will be continuing into March, obviously, with the next video. And I look forward to your comments, your feedback, and of course I thank you for your subscriptions, your shares, your likes, your everything else, your financial contributions, of course. And I think I reached 2,020 subscribers. So definitely a milestone compared to only a few hundred a few weeks ago. So thank you very much. And until next time, this is Claire, and I am the Warbird Mistress. Take care.